How to protect your peace when the world is at war. The world is on fire. Can you really find peace? Do you ever feel like the chaos of the world is closing in, robbing you of your peace and making serenity seem impossible? Headlines scream of conflict, creating anxiety that shakes your stability. Can you protect your peace when the world feels at war?
Imagine living in a state where chaos no longer controls your mind. What if you could remain calm, compassionate, and clear, even as storms rage around you?
The truth is, you absolutely can. And in this video, I'll guide you through profound yet practical insights drawn from ancient wisdom, psychological principles, and real-life stories of individuals who found tranquility amidst turmoil. In the next 25 minutes, we will journey together through powerful techniques that allow you to anchor deeply into peace, no matter how chaotic the external world becomes. You'll discover why inner peace isn't just a comforting idea, but an essential survival tool, especially in times of global upheaval. If you're tired of feeling helpless against the waves of anxiety and longing to reclaim your emotional stability, stay with me. Together, we'll explore how to cultivate an unshakable inner calm, transforming your response to conflict and ultimately, your life. Because when your internal world remains stable, you not only heal yourself, you become a beacon of hope for others. Are you ready to protect your peace? Let's dive in. Have you ever found yourself glued to the news, heart racing, stomach tight, overwhelmed by events you can't control? It's not just curiosity, it's a survival mechanism. Our minds are wired to detect threats, to stay alert to danger. But in a world where conflict and crisis unfold 24/7 on our screens, that ancient instinct gets hijacked. We feel as if the war is not just out there, it's inside us. Psychologically, this is called empathic distress. It's when your compassion turns into internal suffering. You see others in pain, and your mirror neurons respond as if it's happening to you. Without boundaries, empathy becomes a flood that drowns your peace. And let's not forget the illusion of control. When things feel chaotic globally, our minds desperately seek something, anything to grasp. This creates a false belief that if we worry more, read more, or argue more, somehow we're helping. But the truth is harsh. Worrying doesn't fix the world, it only destabilizes your inner one. Spiritual traditions have long warned against this trap. The Buddha spoke of the second arrow. The first arrow is the pain of the world. The second arrow is our reaction to it: fear, blame, anxiety. The wise path is not about ignoring the first arrow, but refusing to shoot the second into our own hearts. Consider this. Has worrying ever made you more effective? Or has it left you depleted, resentful, or numb? Imagine reclaiming that energy. What if your peace wasn't a fragile thing to defend, but a powerful center to return to? Real-life survivors of war zones often describe an inner detachment, not coldness but clarity. They knew the difference between what they could influence and what they couldn't. That distinction was their freedom. When the world feels out of control, the most radical act is to stop trying to control it and start mastering your response. If this idea speaks to your journey, give this video a like so it reaches others who need it. Think of your mind as a sacred garden. Whatever you feed it, grows. Now ask yourself, what have you been feeding it lately? Every scroll, every headline, every angry post becomes a seed. And when those seeds are rooted in fear, conflict, and division, your inner garden begins to wither. Peace doesn't disappear overnight. It erodes slowly, drip by drip, until you wake up wondering why everything feels heavy, anxious, and disconnected. This is the subtle tyranny of information overload. We live in an age where the horrors of the world don't just visit our doorstep. They burst through the door uninvited, again and again. And each notification, each urgent breaking news bypasses our natural filters, flooding our nervous system with adrenaline and despair. But here's the deeper problem. Overconsumption of the news creates a warped worldview. The more we watch, the more we start believing that only conflict exists, that humanity is broken, that goodness is rare. This is a dangerous illusion. And worse, it shapes how we feel about ourselves, our neighbors, and the future. There's a powerful Buddhist precept called right consumption. It teaches that just as we choose what food we eat, we must also choose what media we ingest, not out of denial, but from wisdom. Protecting your peace means becoming fiercely selective about what enters your consciousness. Consider setting boundaries, not as restrictions, but as rituals of self-respect. Designate sacred times of disconnection. Replace doom scrolling with deep reading, meditation, or simple silence. Curate your inputs the way a gardener chooses only nourishing soil. And here's a secret. When you reduce the noise, your compassion actually increases. You move from reactive outrage to grounded empathy. You're no longer drowning. You're present, awake, and able to serve. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments below. What's one media habit you're ready to release? Peace isn't passive. It's not just sitting quietly and hoping chaos passes you by. Real peace is a practice, sometimes even a form of rebellion. And one of its greatest allies is the art of sacred boundaries. We often think of boundaries as walls, as things that shut others out. But in truth, they are bridges to a more intentional life. Sacred boundaries aren't about isolation. They're about choosing what gets to influence your mind, your time, and your energy. When the world is at war, whether globally or in your personal life, your nervous system becomes hypersensitive. You may find yourself absorbing the stress of others, agreeing to conversations that drain you, or staying in spaces that shake your calm. Without boundaries, you become a sponge for the world's anxiety. But here's the deeper truth. Boundaries are not selfish. They are spiritual hygiene. Imagine your soul as a temple. Would you let just anyone walk in, shouting or throwing things around? Of course not. And yet, so many of us do this mentally, allowing negativity, gossip, or overstimulation to desecrate the sanctuary of our minds. A sacred boundary might look like saying no without guilt. It might mean stepping away from toxic discussions or turning off your phone when the noise gets too loud. It could be choosing solitude over socializing or prayer over arguing. These aren't acts of escape, they're acts of devotion. One Buddhist teacher put it simply, not everything that knocks is meant to be answered. Setting these limits doesn't mean you're turning your back on the world's suffering. It means you're preserving the strength you need to serve it wisely. And something magical happens when you hold firm to your peace. Others begin to notice. Your calm becomes contagious. Your stillness, a mirror. You remind people that there's another way to be. If this insight gave you something to think about, give this video a like. It helps more people discover their inner sanctuary. When the winds of the world howl and the ground beneath feels like it's shaking, the instinct is to run or to fight. But what if your most powerful response was neither? What if your strength came from stillness? Stillness is not inaction. It's not apathy. It is conscious presence. It's the moment you stop chasing every thought, every fear, and you return to now, to breath, to body, to the moment in front of you. It is anchoring, like a tree whose roots deepen when the storm arrives. Many people think they need peace to be still, but the opposite is true. You become peaceful because you choose stillness. Grounding practices are how we reconnect to that stillness. When the headlines scream, when emotions flare, you can choose to return home, to your breath, your senses, your body. Even one mindful inhale can remind you, I am here, I am safe, I am not the chaos. In trauma psychology, grounding is used to bring people back from overwhelm into the present. Simple techniques, like placing your hands on your heart, naming 5 things you can see, or walking barefoot on the earth, have the power to shift your state within seconds. There's a Zen saying, you should sit in meditation for 20 minutes a day. Unless you're too busy, then you should sit for an hour. The point is clear, the more chaotic the world becomes, the more vital your stillness becomes. Stillness also isn't just physical, it's the discipline of not reacting immediately, of letting a wave pass through you before choosing how to respond. This alone can transform relationships, de-escalate conflict, and protect your peace. Think of the eye of a hurricane. Everything may rage around it, but in the center, there's calm. That's the place you can live from, not by chance but by practice. If this idea speaks to your journey, let me know in the comments. What's one grounding ritual you can return to this week? Have you ever noticed how most anxiety lives in the future, while most regret lives in the past? But the present, the very moment you're in right now, is usually far more manageable than your mind would have you believe. Presence is the sacred medicine the modern world forgets to take. When the world feels like it's unraveling, our minds leap ahead. What's next? What if this gets worse? How will I survive this? It's a survival mechanism, sure, but it's also a trap. Because the more time we spend anticipating suffering, the more we disconnect from the only place we have power. Right here, right now. The practice of presence is about reclaiming your attention. It's remembering that while the world may demand your outrage, your worry, your energy, you have the right to choose where you focus. There's an old teaching from Thich Nhat Hanh. When you wash the dishes, wash the dishes. That's not just poetic, it's profound. Being fully present, even in the smallest acts, grounds you in peace. You become aware. You become whole. You return to life as it's unfolding, not life as your mind imagines it. Try this. Next time you feel overwhelmed by the state of the world, pause, look around, notice the light in the room, the texture of what you're holding, the rhythm of your breath. These details are doorways. They lead back to you. And here's the deeper magic. Presence is contagious. When you bring full attention to a conversation, you create safety. When you truly listen, you invite healing. Your calm becomes a refuge others can feel. Presence doesn't mean ignoring what's happening in the world. It means choosing to meet it consciously, not reactively. It's a rebellion against numbness, against despair. It's choosing life in the face of fear. If this perspective helps, realign you, drop a comment below with the word "here," and let's honor this moment together. In a world aching with suffering, how do you keep your heart open without it breaking you? It's a delicate balance, holding compassion for others while protecting your own emotional reserves. So many people feel torn between wanting to stay informed, stay involved, and stay sane. But here's the secret. Compassion doesn't have to mean collapse. In fact, real compassion never does. True compassion is not pity, and it's not martyrdom. It's the steady flame that warms, not the wildfire that consumes. And to cultivate it, you need inner strength, emotional boundaries, clarity of intention, and the willingness to pause. Empathy fatigue is real. You care deeply, you absorb too much, and before you know it, your own well-being is compromised. You begin to feel helpless, bitter, or numb. This is not failure. It's simply a sign that your system needs rest and restoration. Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron speaks often of compassionate abiding, the practice of staying present with suffering without being overwhelmed by it. It's about witnessing pain, honoring it, and offering your care without taking it all into your body like poison. One powerful practice is Tonglen, a Tibetan meditation in which you breathe in the suffering of others and breathe out relief, healing, or light. It sounds paradoxical, but it helps transmute pain rather than amplify it. And it reminds you, you can meet suffering with love without letting it consume you. Your heart is not a sponge, it is a vessel. And like any sacred vessel, it needs to be filled, tended, and protected. Ask yourself, are you absorbing or are you holding? Are you collapsing under sorrow, or can you sit beside it, grounded and open? If this message touches something within you, give this video a like. It helps bring light into more dark corners. When the world outside feels like it's spinning faster than ever, creating a sacred rhythm within becomes not just healing, but necessary. Ritual is how the soul remembers. It's how we say, this moment matters. And in times of war, unrest, or emotional turmoil, your rituals become the sanctuary where peace is not just imagined, but felt, lived, and embodied. You don't need a monastery or a mountain to find serenity. You need a few sacred moments each day that bring you back to center. Think about this. What if lighting a candle in silence could ground you more than watching the news? What if sitting quietly with your tea became a daily prayer? These small acts, repeated with intention, create a rhythm of peace in your life. that no amount of external chaos can shake. Spiritual rituals don't have to be religious. They just need to be meaningful. Journaling your thoughts in the morning, taking 10 slow breaths before speaking, placing a hand on your chest before sleep and whispering, "I am safe." These practices invite your nervous system to exhale, your heart to open, and your mind to soften. And the magic is in the repetition. Each time you return to your ritual, it becomes easier to find that calm center. Over time, your body begins to associate these acts with safety. Your home becomes not just a shelter, but a sacred space. Your life becomes a kind of temple. Many spiritual paths emphasize this truth, that peace is not a place but a way of being. But the way of peace is built through practice, through choice, through rhythm. You are not powerless in the face of the world's chaos. You have the ability to create peace with your hands, your habits, your attention. If this speaks to your soul, share in the comments. What's one small ritual that brings you peace? How do you engage with a world in crisis without becoming part of the chaos? The answer lies in the shift from reaction to response. Reaction is immediate, emotional, often unconscious. It's the flare of anger when you read a comment online, the panic when the headlines explode, the despair that sinks in when things feel hopeless. Response, on the other hand, is sacred. It's measured. It's intentional. It arises not from the wound, but from the wisdom underneath. In Buddhist philosophy, this is the core of mindfulness, learning to observe before acting. Instead of being yanked around by every trigger, you pause, you breathe, you ask, what is needed now? What serves? What honors peace? This shift is revolutionary. When you respond rather than react, you take back your power. You're no longer a puppet of the world's noise. You're a conscious co-creator of calm. Imagine a heated political argument. The reactive mind attacks, defends, divides. But the responsive mind listens, questions, and seeks understanding. It doesn't mean you don't speak truth. It means you speak it from a place of clarity, not chaos. Real change, real healing comes from this place. It's not the loudest voice that creates peace, but the most grounded one. And here's something to remember. Response isn't about delay or denial, it's about depth. You take a moment, not to avoid the fire, but to become the water. Even in activism, in service, in leadership, your energy matters. Are you acting from fear or from purpose? From panic or from principle? When your peace guides your actions, the world feels it. You become the eye in the storm, not unmoved but unshaken. If this distinction between reaction and response clarifies your path, let me know in the comments. Where in your life do you most need to pause before responding? What if your peace wasn't just for you? What if the stillness you cultivate becomes the very light someone else needs? This is the quiet truth of transformation. When you heal, others feel it. When you become calm, you unconsciously grant permission for others to do the same. You shift the atmosphere not by force but by presence. Think about the people in your life who made you feel safe, even in crisis. Were they the loudest, the most reactive? Or were they the ones who showed up with softness, with clarity, with a kind of unshakable warmth? That's not just personality. It's spiritual practice. Inner peace radiates. It changes rooms, relationships, even realities. But it begins always with intention, with a daily decision to turn inward and center yourself before engaging with the world. The Dalai Lama once said, "World peace begins with inner peace." This isn't a metaphor, it's a blueprint. Every conversation you have from calm instead of chaos is a thread in the fabric of a more peaceful world. You become a different kind of influence, not through domination, but through groundedness, not through fear, but through trust. You listen better. You love more freely. You become a living example that it's possible to stay rooted, even when everything else is shaking. And here's the gift. The more peace you give, the more you receive. The more you embody it, the more others want to follow. You don't just survive the storms, you become the calm within them. If that idea moves you, comment, "I choose peace" below, and let's keep spreading this energy. We often think of revolutions as loud, forceful, and visible, marches in the street, shouts from the podium, battles for justice. But there's a quieter revolution happening beneath the surface, in hearts like yours. and it's no less powerful. This revolution begins when you choose peace in a culture addicted to outrage. When you sit with discomfort instead of lashing out. When you respond to fear with faith and anger with understanding. It's radical to pause instead of panic, to listen instead of shout, to choose stillness over stimulation. In a world at war, the greatest rebellion is to refuse to let that war enter your own mind. And yet, this revolution is not about avoidance, it's about redefinition. It's asking, what if changing the world begins with changing your state? What if the most powerful act you can take today isn't a scream, but a breath? Every time you center yourself, you resist the pull of division. Every time you nurture your peace, you weaken the grip of fear. This is not spiritual bypassing, it is spiritual strategy, because what the world needs most right now isn't more noise, it's more groundedness, more discernment, more people who can hold space for healing without adding to the harm. This isn't easy work, but it is holy work, and it starts inside you. Your inner world is not separate from the outer one, it's a seedbed. And what you grow within it, resilience, love, clarity, will find its way into everything you touch. So the next time you feel powerless, remember, peace is never passive. It's a form of quiet, courageous leadership. If this lands for you, share this video with someone you love. Let's multiply the quiet revolution, one heart at a time. You don't need a retreat in the mountains or hours of free time to reclaim your peace. Often, it's the smallest, most intentional acts that restore us. These tools are designed to be simple, repeatable, and powerful. Small hinges that swing big doors in your emotional world. Here are 7 practical tools you can start using today. The 3-minute anchor: set a timer for 3 minutes. Sit in stillness, close your eyes. Focus only on your breath. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly. With each breath, whisper to yourself, I am here. This mini ritual calms your nervous system and centers your awareness. It's especially powerful during overwhelming news cycles or emotional conversations. The information fast, choose a 24-hour period each week to completely unplug from news, social media, and emails. This isn't about denial, it's about detox. Use the time to reconnect with yourself, nature, or your spiritual practices. Notice how much clearer your mind becomes when it's not constantly reacting. The boundaries audit: write down everything that currently demands your attention. People, apps, conversations, commitments. Now ask, which of these nourish my peace, which drain it? Then set one new boundary, whether it's saying no to a conversation, limiting screen time, or declining a draining obligation. The compassion filter: before reacting to someone or something upsetting, pause and silently ask, what's the pain beneath this behavior? This simple reframing helps you stay in empathy rather than judgment, and protects your heart from absorbing unnecessary conflict. The ritual reminder: choose one daily activity and turn it into a mindful ritual. For example, each time you wash, your hands repeat a calming mantra like, I release what I cannot control. Or when you drink your morning tea, focus on the warmth, scent, and taste as a sacred moment of presence. The sanctuary. Space: designate a corner in your home as your peace sanctuary. Add things that soothe you: candles, cushions, sacred texts, or calming music. Even 5 minutes a day in this space can reset your emotional state. The gratitude anchor. Each night before sleep, name 3 things that brought you peace that day, no matter how small. Sunlight through your window, a kind smile, a quiet moment. This practice trains your mind to see beauty even when the world feels bleak. These tools aren't just about coping, they're about claiming your power back. You don't have to be perfect, just willing, just present, just you, with intention. Which of these will you try first? Let us know in the comments and inspire someone else's peace practice. We began this journey with a question. Can you really protect your peace when the world is at war? Now you know you don't just protect it, you become it. In every breath you choose presence over panic. In every moment you set a boundary instead of absorbing pain. In every quiet act of compassion, reflection, and resilience, you are writing a new story for your life and for the world. Peace is not an escape, it's not passivity. It's not closing your eyes to injustice. It's the inner strength to face life's hardest truths without losing yourself in them. It's clarity amid noise, grace amid fire, stillness amid the storm. Your journey matters, your healing matters, and your peace has ripple effects beyond what you'll ever see. Because when one soul becomes calm, it gives others permission to breathe, to soften, to hope. So keep returning to your breath, to your body, to your truth, and most importantly, keep asking, what would peace do now? If this video touched you, please consider liking it. It helps the message reach more hearts in need of peace. Subscribe for more spiritual reflections, emotional tools, and soul-deep conversations like this one. Let's keep walking this path together. Until then, stay gentle, stay grounded, stay awake, because you, yes you, are the peace the world has been waiting for.